Microsoft said their next console would be the biggest leap in performance ever. What if Microsoft just licenses the brand to other manufacturers, as you previously suggested, and they hope that someone manufactures an Xbox with an RTX 6090, and that's how we get the biggest leap ever? I mean, that's potentially something that could happen, but that doesn't tie in with Microsoft's specific claims that they've been making for the next console generation, which is that they're in on Gen 10. They're making a Gen 10 console. The extent to which it might or might not be PC-like in some regard, that's totally up in the air. But I think we need to accept that they are going to be making this machine and not just letting ASUS stick in a liquid-cooled 6090.
Yeah, but what about in 15 years?
In 15 years, good question. Xbox could be something much more ephemeral at that point. And as I said, the future of the console is certainly up for debate after Gen 10. Oliver, any thoughts?
Well, zooming out, I think it could be possibly a combination of what this individual is suggesting with the Xbox 6090 edition, and then also some interesting new software accommodations. Like, I think when you look at a device like the PlayStation 5 Pro, personally, I'm not excited for the PlayStation 5 Pro because it's 45% faster, apparently, in the same workload. That's not why I'm interested in the PlayStation 5 Pro. Why I'm interested in that console is because of the combination of new machine learning techniques and greater RT acceleration and how that opens up new possibilities, right? I think it's probably it's probably substantially similar on the Xbox side of things in terms of what Microsoft is suggesting here, because I think if you take that basic paradigm and extend it to higher end hardware, you could see that go even further. You could see it go much further. But in terms of it being the largest generational leap ever, I think I'd still be a little bit skeptical, because when you talk about some of the more fundamental transformations in gaming history, like the transition from 2D to 3D consoles, or some pretty epochal hardware gaps, like the gap between something like a PlayStation 1 and an original Xbox, I think it's hard to imagine a similar increase here. Not just in terms of what percent is it faster, but in terms of what new experiences is that new hardware enabling beyond just like show me a prettier image. When you look at something like, something like Halo on the original Xbox, something like Grand Theft Auto 3 on the PlayStation 2, you could not have achieved those in earlier consoles, right? Just flat out, those were not incepts in the same way that those games were delivered. So I'd have some questions about that, but I would suggest it's probably a combination of that, potentially that 6090 infused system, and then also lots of interesting new hardware techniques and machine learning potentially on the platform side.
Okay. John?
Oliver, you kind of touched on it there by mentioning like GTA 3 and Halo, and I feel like that sort of expansion of what's possible in the realm of games kind of can't happen anymore. Like, it's just beyond that point, right? Like so that's why this whole like the biggest leap ever thing always kind of confused me, in the sense that, like, what are they talking about? Are they even actually talking about like games in the traditional sense? What is this referring to? And it does make me wonder if it is a potential shift to a completely different business model, which then would allow hardware that you typically wouldn't expect to see in the console space, right? Like, let's say they did move to like a multi-console sort of model instead of like this, here's the box. Like, what if here's a bunch of boxes and you can spend as much as you want on this box, more like a PC? Then technically that would be a very big leap in terms of hardware, but it wouldn't necessarily yield anything in terms of like leap in games, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do lament the sort of, we've moved so far away from that, but I think it's just the nature of like games have become more like we've kind of just, man, I don't know. It's difficult for me to get this out because it's such a nebulous topic, really. But it's something I've been thinking about, just in terms of what does a leap even mean anymore? I've kind of lost that excitement and I miss it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, when Microsoft expressed that, I mean, you would expect it to be on common terms of reference that the audience understands. And the audience understands stuff like, more CPU cores.
But it's just not exciting anymore.
You're quite right. Yeah, that just isn't really, really exciting at all. And ultimately, you've got to make games accessible to as many people as possible. We understand that now. And that basically means games have to be scalable. And that means that you actually need to accommodate systems that are actually not particularly powerful at all, like the handheld that they're going to be making. This is the stuff that we've been talking about for a long time now. I'm just kind of, I'm just thinking about this whole PC thing, and you look at the Steam hardware survey, and there's 120 million users on Steam. Okay, so I'm looking at that Steam hardware survey again, and just like looking at that 4060 laptop, we've got like 4.55% of the audience with that specific laptop GPU. That's like 5.4 million units. I mean, that's just one particular GPU SKU out there. I mean, that's quite phenomenal. Yes, ultimately, we're talking about a proliferation of hardware out there that all of these games need to support. So, what does a biggest generational leap ever actually mean? How many people will actually have access to that super high level of hardware? It's all a bit of a mystery at the moment. All I can say is, RTX 6090 egregious edition. Let's do it.